see if it's working right this time. I don't know why it doesn't allow the static key to work. That is so ass backwards. Oh my god, I'm a dumbass. Now I know why it didn't work. But hopefully it's working now. Let me take a quick peek. It should be working. It's a working. I hope. Are we working?
Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. I'm all wound up. We haven't slept for 2 days.
You sound like me. I got to go fix YouTube and then I will be ready to go.
All right.
Oh
Well,
my god.
I'm eating baked potatoes in anticipation of today's live. I don't know why I get hungry before we go live, but it's lunchtime, people.
Oh, that's like me saying I don't know why I got to pee before I go live, you know.
Well, I
I,
could
I just
understand that, but this
weird.
this food thing is a little bit crazy.
Yeah, but it's okay.
All right. Go ahead, do what you got to do.
Oh, I'm still getting the YouTube one fixed because, dingbat me forgot to connect the template with a preset key. And yeah,
Oh,
it's just a bit of a
those
mess.
those keys are a pain in the butt.
Yeah, they are. But I have no choice,
I understand.
especially with Rumble. It's a bit
Right.
of a headache, but there ain't squat I can do about
Right.
it.
And the thing
So,
is, the key is different every time. So
yeah.
that'd
Well,
be
no,
a
there is
problem.
a way to set up a static key. There
Okay.
is a way to do it,
Yeah.
but the problem is my silly self, would forgot to link the template to the static key.
I see, grasshopper.
And so with it not being linked, it
It wouldn't work.
causes
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yep,
Got.
it causes that.
Yeah, I got you.
Hello. I see Art says all sounds good. Great.
Hey, Art, how
I'm
you doing?
so sorry about having to reset that stuff. That was not part of my intentions today. Um, Let me pull up
Wait, are
the
we getting ready to get
first.
started?
We are getting ready.
Okay. Well, before we get started, I am not a stupid person. Okay, I am
I
not.
am.
I know how to do shit, right? But I am freaking stupid. I could not get
No,
that.
you're not.
Oh, yes, I can. Am. I couldn't get that freaking little mic to work on my laptop for love nor money. No matter what I did,
Uh-huh.
it would not work. Would not work. So I almost threw it across the room, but now it decided that all components would fall out of the case and they're laying on my bed. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'll fix that later.
Okay.
We'll fix it later.
Yeah, it's very irritating, let me tell you. So we're back to the tablet, and we'll see. We'll get there.
Yeah, it happens.
Hmm.
Your
And
laptop
then,
built
and
in
then
light.
we have a. Oh, we really don't want to do this. Crazy Bee refused to do it, and I said, "Well, I guess I'll have to do it." And why don't you go ahead and throw it on up there, Crazy Bee?
Which
The
one?
one, the request, the money request.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Uh huh.
You wanted this, not me. I'm good either way.
Oh no, you weren't. Let's not tell. My girl got this with that today.
I
So,
got it set up because
with
you said you wanted to get this done, so
yeah,
I did it.
with that girl, with that. Um, in working with all of the various platforms that we looked at, the one we're not monetized on any of the channels yet. Despite
Rumble won't monetize us because we won't use Rumble Studio.
right, And YouTube, the requirements are just so far out there. Who knows how long it would take to meet the requirements. So we decided that we would be seeking donations only from our supporters via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. And right now, in the programming that we've provided, we are down $400 for the studio and some other supporting documentation in the material that we present to you. So our request is if you can support the channel, we would greatly appreciate it. We're not doing any ads of that type.
We're
We're
not
not,
doing product plugs
yes,
either.
we're not doing product plugs. Maybe if we get, to 250,000, that could be a different story. But no product plugs, no ads, nothing from YouTube, nothing from Rumble or any of the other platforms, Spotify, anything like that. So it's strictly based on donations, and you will probably see me do a ask at least once a
And I also want to point out that if you guys donate through Rumble or YouTube, Rumble takes 50% right
right,
off the top and you will not see it.
correct.
YouTube, I don't
YouTube's
even
30,
know,
30%.
30%.
Right.
So that's
So
why we're asking that if you guys do choose to donate, donate through these and we will get 100% of the donation versus the insanity that it is to get it from the platforms.
right.
So
I mean,
I,
it's
I
crazy.
found that out the hard
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it's crazy that Rumble's at 50%. I mean, I really don't know how new content creators can possibly try to make
Hold on one
a living.
second. JJ, try refreshing the page again, cause uh, it picked up after I reset the stream key and the I reset the link. So double check on Rumble by refreshing it. It might have just taken a minute, or go to the actual page, my actual page, and go through the live that way. I believe that's the way it's going to have to be. Sorry, go ahead.
You're okay. Um, I just don't understand how new content creators could possibly make a living with the requirements that they have. YouTube is you have to have 300 subscribers and 3,000 watched hours. Uh, while it's not impossible to me, it's going to take a while to get there. And in the meantime, we're putting forth a lot of effort to try to bring creative content, in depth content, just not your usual, here's the news, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to give you a little bit more. So I am probably, because Crazy Bee doesn't want to do it, I will do it. I'm going to probably ask at least once a video, and you never know where it's going to pop up. So,
I have too much faith that mankind will, do what they think is right, and I don't even ask. I'm
yeah,
just that weird person.
yes, but I'm not ashamed to ask if I have to beg, borrow, and I won't steal, but I will beg and maybe borrow. But like I said, so far we are into this for $400, which is a significant amount to be like a startup YouTube channel that we don't know where it's going to go. So when
Mhm.
we ask you to please subscribe, please follow, that is some serious stuff that
Yes.
it helps that algorithm. Like right now, if you go in to try to find some of these pieces that we're doing, we're buried. I mean, we're at the bottom of the pond trying to work our way up. So uh
That's weird. Hold on, JJ, that's weird because, it's going through the crazy bee, not the questions that need answers. The link I dropped just above your comment should be the one working. I apologize. I don't know why it did that. That is really strange. You're welcome. I'm having one of those days where things are just not working.
I'm not
My
working
brain
at all.
primarily.
After being
But
out, yeah, after being out 2 days this week, my body has said, "Girl, you're down. You're."
was stuck sitting on a shower chair in a bathroom for almost an hour last night because of tornadoes.
Mm-hmm. And then you decided to send the rain my way at 3:30 a.m. that continued till about
Well, technically, you're north of me. So it
uh,
would have come from either Brent or Faye, not me.
you know what? You say that all the time, but when it rains down there, somehow it magically rains up here. I don't want to
Well,
hear.
tell me how my friend who's in Indiana gets the rain before I do, and I'm further west.
I
But
don't.
you're further east, so it makes sense that you would get it later.
You know,
But it's
stop with the
weird.
analogies. You're sending it up, and you know it. So just stop. Just stop. So she had a crazy night last night. One of our dear friends actually saw a tornado go by her home,
Yeah,
and
I was in voice chat with her. No, it was actually she was standing on the porch,
mhm.
and it just touched down, and she caught it coming from the field, and she threw on the camera in the voice chat to share it with me, and we're just watching this
Yeah, because she
pretty big.
didn't care about her safety, right? She
Yeah,
was
no,
like,
she's just
yeah,
standing on her porch with her back
right.
against the wall, filming this tornado go across the road less than a quarter mile down the road from her. Absolutely wild. I was like, and neither of us, I could have screen recorded it. She could have recorded it. Nope, nope, nope.
Mhm.
Okay, you're following that channel as well? Okay, thank you. So, yeah, we watched smaller. I think it would probably have been one of the EF2s. It wasn't big, but it wasn't, like a dirt devil type running down the road.
Mhm.
So this was a decent sized one.
Yep.
So, that was interesting last night. And then, of course, our sirens went off twice. And me and the kids, I told the kids, grab everything important. What do? My son grabs a box with his computer tower and all of his important game stuff. And my daughter grabs her tablet, her cell phone, and her Nintendo Switch Lite.
Okay,
There.
I'll hear you
That's
out on this one. I am not paying for that computer again, especially since I don't have a warranty on it.
I love my son to death. I hope y'all heard him.
mhm.
Oh, and
That's
I'm
fun.
leaving my very expensive computer sitting on my desk and just taking my medicines and my
Okay, but
gun.
if you want, I can always move it to the bathroom.
No,
That's funny.
I love my kids, and yeah, I
It all. It
we were
all.
up
It's yeah.
all night with this stuff last night. I'm dead on my feet.
So am I. So hey, maybe the audience has to take over the show today. We might hit the wall and just get knocked out. So if you don't
Yep.
hear anything, we're dead. We just like passed out and that's it.
I
Cause we
got a little bit of sleep um between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. and then I passed out again about 6 to 8. So I got some broken up sleep. I'm dead on my feet right now. And I'm not even standing, but if I was standing, I would legit be dead on my feet. So
oh,
any verbal hand movements, anything that is completely not making sense, I'm not having a stroke. It's just exhaustion has taken over.
hey, I said what? Mike my mute, and I mean I'm
Yeah,
just
you were gonna mic your mute.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna mic my mute, and that's the kind of day we're having. So it's been that way all day. So hey, you guys might be in for a ride. You might be in for who knows, but we appreciate everybody's support. Really, I think the biggest thing that I've noticed from other channels is the interaction between the people in the chat. And I really appreciate those that drop in and are willing to share their thoughts with us. Um, I
I
think it
will
makes.
tell you, there are people that I've spoken to on various platforms who watch us every single episode, or they at least watch the posting of it afterwards.
Hmm.
And but they don't like the idea of potentially being, having to log in and all that
Right.
nonsense.
Right.
So they do watch us anonymously. There are a lot of them. And I noticed that a lot of our followers to the channels are just people trying to sell us bot farms rights. Oh, pay me and I'll send a bunch of people your way.
Right. Right.
Uh-huh. No. I
And we're
think there's
not,
at least
yeah,
20 following the channels
right. And
that
again,
are just that
yeah, we're
BS.
not doing any of that. No bot farms. Nothing is conceived as far as anybody giving us materials ahead of time saying, "Oh, we'll plan this ad for you, and all you have to do is read it." That's not happening.
Well, wasn't it your husband or your son that was absolutely stunned we don't use a script and we don't
Yes.
plan this out? We just go in with a bunch of stuff to share and we just get along?
And that there is, this is all like, this is live and organic. There is nothing predetermined. There's nothing that says D, you're going to say this, crazy B, you're going to say that. None of that. So what you see is what you get, and or what you hear is what you get, and uh, we hope you appreciate that. And I think that's what kind of is setting us apart from some other people, is that we're trying to have real conversation about real life things that happen, and we don't always agree on everything, as you can tell, but
Yep.
we still have that respect for one another that uh, you know, at the end of the day, we can both walk away saying, I see your point, I see your point, but you know what? That's too damn bad. I'm staying where I'm at.
As you're relaying this the
Yeah,
entire time you're talking, that is exactly what Art put. I appreciate this a civil discussion. You don't have to agree with me, but I do require civility.
right,
Exactly. No name calling, no harassing, pointing out both right and left are wrong in so many ways. I'll
right.
tell you what, today I found a video from Nancy Pelosi back in 1996 saying exactly what the fuck Trump has been saying about tariffs.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've got that saved. We're going to cover that on a different day.
What
Right,
did Nancy Pelosi
right.
do?
Supported tariffs against China.
Uh-huh.
When did that change?
Oh, I don't know. There was this idiot on X. I said this was the best post ever. They're like, Russia's not on Trump's list. And they repeated it like 7 times. And then this meme guy goes up and says, Russia has sanctions on it. Russia has sanctions. Russia has sanctions. It's like we can't tariff someone we can't trade with. You dumbasses. And
Right.
again, and this is.
It's okay.
Hmm.
Don't get yourself riled up. Why don't we
Yeah,
move?
these
Why
are the
don't we?
people that I talk about. These are
I
the
know.
people that I say frustrate me. And I see it on the right and the left 100%. And it's just like, really? Really? You're going to be that ignorant? You're that ignorant. D, your name's not showing up. Did you take your name off your thing?
No, it's showing up on my end.
It is not showing up on mine.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, mine shows you are completely blank. I can't edit it, but it says you can. So, interesting. Um, just notice that. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's
and
people all over
and
the
I
internet
changed
right
my
now that are
avatar for
stupid.
the spring look, so
Yeah, we got to get you set up with a avatar like mine where
Mm,
it can show your mouth moving and your eyes moving and all that
mm,
because we're going
we'll
to get
see.
that set up
We'll see. It all
maybe this
depends on
weekend.
which which thing I get to pick. We'll see.
Oh, no, it's not a pick. You create your own. I
Oh,
created mine from a blank model. I changed the skin color, added the hair, adjusted the clothing. Oh yeah, you get to pick everything from how far apart your eyes are separated. Oh, you're going to love being able to create this.
okay. All
Back
right.
in the 90s, China was dumping steel and things, so tariffs made sense to preserve our
Mhm.
steel industry. Not sure that's true today. And again, yeah, today tariffs are being used as a weapon more than they are to help each other out. And I don't like that. But, you know, she was talking about weaponizing tariffs against China because she didn't like the way China was behaving. And, I agree with the fact of bringing our industries back to America and just solely producing in America and exporting. You don't see American cars overseas,
No,
but we
you
see a
don't.
lot of foreign cars over here.
The biggest issue, one of the biggest issues I have is our drug industry, for our
Mhm.
medications. That shit needs to be brought back.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
and then some.
yeah, that's a big uh, to do.
And
When
actually, I wanna, because I wanna point out that, what, back to Art was saying, she had even pointed out on the congressional floor how China is tariffing us more than we're tariffing them, which is exactly what Canada's doing to us.
right, most
They're
of the
overcharging us instead of being a fair balance,
yeah,
and I
Trump
think that's
produced
what I
that.
get from it.
Right, and Trump produced that document that shows that pretty much we've been screwed by everybody. That's the bottom line. There,
Yeah, I think that,
mm-hmm.
as much as I don't like using tariffs as a stick instead of a kind way to get people to do things, but in this case, Canada's just being absolute douchebags, and
And so
Mexico,
is
it was
Europe.
used just to get the
Yeah,
cartels under control.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. Go look at any country, and and the increase in prices for tariffs is
And what we're
off.
paying.
Yep, is off the chart compared to what they're paying for our products. It is off the chart.
And also, as a reminder, all those Nikes made in Vietnam and those child
Mhm.
sweatshops, yeah, I don't think
I
those
think
I think those should be made in America by American workers.
yeah, and I think Vietnam was over 100% if I recall correctly. They're up there. They're high.
Well, they
Extremely
need
high.
us. They don't
Yeah.
have anything except child slave shops.
Hmm. All right. What do we
They
got
need
else?
us.
What do we
Okay,
got else?
first up, you wanted to cover that, new update to the,
Yeah.
Epic place down in Texas.
Oh, I have a little bit of an issue with this, and let's roll the
This
tape.
is only an 11-second video you sent me, but
Yeah, and there
yeah.
should be some backup documentation to go with that. Did you get that?
I don't think I saw that, but
Okay.
if you have it available and you can pull it up,
Oh no, I
feel
don't.
free
And
or
so
send it to me and I
yeah,
will grab it.
we'll you know what? Just pull that aside, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, just take
Okay,
that
you
back.
wanna pull this aside
Yeah.
for tomorrow?
Yep. Sorry, guys, but it is. We touched upon it lightly yesterday, and it is way more than you have any idea. The city council approved it. They're breaking ground, and it's some scary stuff. So I want to do it justice, and there's a bunch of documentation that goes with it that we'll provide tomorrow. So that being said, what do we got next?
This is the No Women on the Front Lines.
Oh,
Mom, do you think women should be in the military?
Me personally, I don't have a problem with it, but other people do.
yeah,
Now,
I do.
this is a 13-minute video. I didn't get a chance to watch it in advance, so I don't know where the parts are. I'm
Yeah,
not even sure 100% this is the right video. Um, we're about to find out.
right. Just there's bits and pieces that probably could have been edited, but we're good. So I think this is one that just play it, and they don't like it.
Mhm.
Oh well, chalk it up to a sucky day. That's all.
Yep. All right, let's hit play.
I have that in editor mode and not the live
Oh,
preview.
hold on. I got it. Nope, I forgot to transition it over. My bad. Here we
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
For far too long, we allowed standards to slip and different standards for men and women in combat arms, MOSs, and jobs. That's not acceptable. We need to have the same standard, male or female, in our combat roles.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has signed a memorandum on combat arms standards, saying standards have been allowed to slip for far too long. This is pertaining to different standards for men and women in combat arms, MOS, and jobs. This would ensure the highest standards for men and women in combat, he said. He signed the order on his way back from Japan after a high-stakes visit to the U.S. ally.
Hey everybody, Pete Hegseth here. We're about to land in Washington, D.C. on our way back from Japan, where we've been meeting with the troops, talking to allies and partners, reestablishing deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. It's Sunday, but of course we're still working. I want to show you one thing. It's a new memorandum that's coming out today on combat arms standards. You see, for far too long, we allowed standards to slip and different standards for men and women in combat arms MOSs and jobs. That's not acceptable. We need to have the same standard, male or female,
Whose phone?
in our combat roles to ensure our men and women who are under our leaders or in those formations have the best possible leaders and the highest possible standards that are not based at all on your sex, if you're a man or a woman. So we're signing this, I'm signing this memorandum today. The services will review, and soon we will have nothing but the highest and equal standards for men and women in combat.
The Trump administration has cracked down on diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in federal roles, with several private firms also distancing from the Biden-era policy. Hegseth, during his confirmation hearing, was...
Oh, are you back, Dee?
Go for the live stream for those two broads that don't know what the hell they're doing. Is this the place? Huh?
Yeah, this is the place.
Okay, thank you. I feel welcome. Go ahead, hit it. I don't know what the heck happened.
I just saw you go offline, but now your name's back.
Okay.
So, all
right.
right, let's hit play.
All righty.
grilled over comments on women in the military. He had said standards have been lowered to allow women to serve. He had also opined against having women in combat roles in a 2024 podcast, saying it has not made us more effective or lethal, but made fighting more complicated. I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated. Pete Hegseth's comments on a 2024 podcast, Republican Senator and former Army veteran Joni Ernst of Iowa had initially opposed Hegseth's nomination over stance on women in combat. To this, Hegseth had ensured women will have access to ground combat roles, given the standards remain high, and we will have a review to ensure the standards have not been eroded in any one of these cases.
Senator Shaheen.
Good morning, Mr. Hegseth.
Good morning, Senator.
I was pleased when I was contacted on your behalf about meeting before this hearing. I've been on this committee since 2011, and during that time, I voted to confirm 6 nominees to be Secretary of Defense from 3 administrations, 2 Democratic and 1 Republican, the first Trump administration. Every one of those nominees met with me and my Democratic colleagues on this committee before the hearing. So, as you can imagine, I was disappointed when no one ever followed up. When we followed up with your office, you were not.
Maybe because you're not entitled to meet with them before the hearing.
Right. Kind of seems a little bit.
That's a courtesy.
Exactly.
And y'all didn't like him to begin with. Y'all were going to give him hell to begin with. So why the hell would he want to meet with you beforehand? Just going to say. You know.
Yeah, it seems a little bit inappropriate.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be that does not occur because it has that sense of impropriety. You know, who are you meeting with? Who's the players? Who's the top dog there? What's the purpose behind the meeting? Setups can occur. You know,
Yep.
You can be told, you go in ahead of time and you're told, okay, when you go to the hearing, we want you to act this way. Don't answer these questions, answer those questions.
I don't think they should be allowed to meet with any lawmakers.
I agree.
To hell with that.
Yep.
Let me hit play.
Not able to meet. Do you understand that if you're confirmed to be Secretary of Defense, that you will have a responsibility to meet with all members of this committee, not just Republicans?
Senator, I very much appreciate and understand the traditionally bipartisan nature of this committee. Their national defense is not partisan. It should not be about Republicans or Democrats. And so I look forward to...
Oh, did you need me?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
My screen just keeps like flipping out, so I think it might be having an epileptic fit.
If it ain't one thing today, it's another, right?
Just like its owner. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. I'm going to continue.
I'm not
working
touching. No,
together
I'm not
with.
touching a thing. Okay, I'm not touching anything. So if anything happens, something is going on. Okay, I'm not
We'll
touching it.
blame the ghost. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, my hands are crisscrossed. I can't touch a thing.
All righty.
With you and your colleagues on priorities facing this nation. Yes.
I think we would expect that. And one reason that I wanted to meet with you was because I thought it would be really helpful to better understand your views on women in the military. Because you've made a number of surprising statements about women serving in the military. As recently as November the 7th of 2024 on the Sean Ryan Show, you said, and I quote, "I'm straight up saying that we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective." The quote went on a little longer, but that was the gist of it. That was before you were nominated to be Secretary of Defense. Mr. Hegseth, do you know what percentage of our military is comprised of women?
I believe it's 18 to 20%, Senator.
It's almost 18%. And in fact, DOD's 2023 demographic report indicated that there are more women serving now, and there are fewer separations. So they make up a critical part of our military. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, ma'am. Women in our military, as I have said publicly, have and continue to make amazing contributions across all aspects of our battlefield.
Well, you also write in your book, The War on Warriors, with the chapter, The Deadly Obsession with Women Warriors, that, quote, "Not only are women comparatively less effective than men in combat roles, but they are more likely to be objectified by the enemy and their own nation in the moral realms of war." Mr. Hegseth, should we take it to believe that you believe that the two women on this committee who have served honorably and with distinction made our military less effective and less
Tracy D,
capable?
Yep. Pause it.
I got a message that YouTube isn't up and running. That we're not on YouTube.
Let me go double check. Should be. Uh-oh. I wonder if it's the video we're showing. Let me get to the studio. Everything says we're live.
Okay. All right. Maybe that person's having an issue. I'll reply
It
back.
might be a link issue.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. Ann says she's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here. Send them. I'll
Just
send it
drop
to
it.
you in
Yeah. No,
Discord.
just drop it in the chat. That way, in case anybody else is having a problem, they can just grab it.
Okay. Here is the YouTube, and it is running from my end.
Okay.
And do we need to send it to someone in particular or no?
No, I'll take care of it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
This is a good
All right.
place to stop before she continues, to have a little bit of dialogue
Yes.
before anything else is even said. You and I have gone round and round about this issue, and
Just a bit.
yeah, just a bit, and we end up again being respectful of each other's position. Mine
Yes.
is that I believe women serve a role in the military. However, active combat, hand to hand, or in the trenches, or whatever, absolutely effing not. And I believe that women, as was stated in his book, end up being objectified by the enemy. And, how do I say this?
They're more of a liability than a benefit.
Correct. And I'll just put this out there as somebody that has been the victim of sexual assault.
Same here.
Okay. Do you realize, take for example, October 7th, what Hamas did to civilians, to women, what they did to them? Could you imagine having a woman in a platoon or in a troop or whatever, one woman with the guys, and, she's captured You know, they're not just going to put her in handcuffs and walk her up to, the prison and say, oh, we're going to treat you great. She's going, Men suffer from PTSD. Women, I think, will come back, and I don't know if they'll even ever be able to come back. And we have been extremely fortunate as a country that we have never had witness to this phenomenon, right? We've never had women that had to go into a jungle and fight a battle, or into Desert Storm and, do hand to hand. I just am I mean, I don't like our men doing it, let alone having our women do it. Um, I feel their liability. I feel that the men will be more protective of them than they would, maybe each other. Uh, it's just it's a hard call for me, but I think they can serve, missions, fly a plane, you know,
A lot of women are thrown into medical.
Yeah, yes, I do realize that. I'd like to see the breakdown of exactly where the women are in the military.
Yeah,
Like you said, are they in medical? Are they in?
most are in medical and support.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact breakdown. I'd have to talk to my ex-sister-in-law who was a army medic.
okay.
Um, but I would have to talk to her. And again, I know everyone sees it as just all these small women are going into the military, but my ex sister-in-law is a few inches shorter than me, so she's like 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", and she can lift easily lift 200 pounds and carry it over her shoulders. She is built solid. Okay, like what you would call a farm boy, she's a farm girl. Okay, massively built. And then there's me. I was able to at times help lift and move heavy things. So I think it should be dependent on the physical capability.
It doesn't. Yeah, but so what? You're physically capable. What happens when you're surrounded and captured? That's the
You
issue.
go
I
through it
mean,
like anybody
re-
else.
I mean,
And it's
re-
your choice to choose to serve in that area
well, I don't
instead
think
of
that we
somewhere
should.
else.
I don't think that we should place a woman in that position. Go back and read the stories of
I
the
know firsthand stories
I
of
know.
women who have
I,
served.
go and we can share them, but go read the
Actually, I
story.
don't think they want their stories put out, but I've heard horrific things that were done to them by their fellow soldiers, not
Yes,
even an
that's
enemy.
another thing. That is another issue that can be brought up. What
But tell me
exactly?
why these women said they'd go back in a heartbeat and not think twice, and they had been brutally assaulted by fellow American soldiers, and they
Well,
still wanna serve.
I would suggest that they have a psychiatric evaluation as to why they'd go back. I'm sorry. That's what I believe. I mean, if you read stories of Vietnam and when the guys were
I
captured
know.
and all of
My
that,
dad and my stepdad were in
so
that.
was my uncle, and
So was my ex-husband's
yeah,
father and stepfather.
I mean, my bosses, I truly do not know how the men did what they had to do, let alone a woman be in such a vulnerable position. And when you see what, you know, as a victim of an assault, of what can be done by one man, let alone a
Mhm.
group of men, and you know it is going to happen. They are not going to just put you in a like pretty little cell and feed you. Shit is
No,
going to go down.
and I will tell you as from someone who had experience with this, they learned to close down part of their mind.
Oh yeah, I know you do. Right,
It's something you have to do, and it's even with men who get tortured. You
right,
have to learn to shut down part of your mind and block it out and then deal with it
exactly.
when you're back at
That,
base and can get meds.
but my thing is, why do that? Why put them in that position in the
Why
first?
put men in a position where they're gonna be hooked up to jumper cables
Did
and
I say that?
waterboarded?
Did I not say that? I said
So
that.
we
So
shouldn't have anyone serving in the military.
let's put our AI robots out there. You know what I mean? Maybe
We
them
don't have enough of
could,
them.
yeah, we could build them. Maybe they could serve. I mean, truly, this whole bullshit of war and killing and hurting one another, I can't frickin' stand it. It makes me physically ill to know that humans hurt other people that way. And I'm going to start crying over this shit.
I know. And
You
Art,
know,
I wanna tell you, my ex-sister-in-law did not expect them to lower standards for her when she went into service. She kept up with the men. There are women who can keep
oh,
up
yeah,
with the men. It's just rare.
right. It's
It is
very
very
rare. Right.
rare.
And
And
it doesn't,
I think it should be based on an individual case, not a blanket across the board. Because there are women who can mentally handle being tortured and
well,
assaulted. There
uh,
are I
no
I've
way.
learned to block it out when it happened to me.
Yeah, when it happened, but you're not gonna, uh, I don't know any woman that's gonna go into that going, oh, yeah, I'm prepared to be,
I
assaulted.
know about 6 and 2 of them were my cousins.
Well,
2 of them are my cousins and 1 is an ex-sister-in-law.
God bless them, and they're the rare ones. Crazy
They
big.
I'm not saying they're all women can do this. It is a very rare thing for women to be able to go into a circumstance, know the risk, just like the men go in knowing the risk, and still to protect their
Well,
country,
the men,
insist on doing it.
the men are forced to go into it. Y-
Actually, we have not had a draft since what,
I know, but you're
World War
still
One, two?
you're still required. Well, since Vietnam, you're still required to, and Desert Storm, you're still required. All men have to fill out the
Yeah, I know. I
you
was there when a couple of my friends went, and I tried enlisting at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah. Um, I would want them, in addition to, I don't know, maybe if they do pass the standards that are set for all people, right? I
Uh-huh.
think maybe I would want them to have a psychological evaluation as a
All
preparation.
military members go through a psych
Well,
eval.
I know, but I'm talking about an extra piece of what potentially could happen and a preparation as to coping skills.
Mhm.
I mean, again, I'm going to use America was not involved in it, and they went ape shit over what Hamas did to
I
them.
know. But
Okay,
also, do you remember what Americans did to Hamas members that were caught? Not Hamas, the, Al Qaeda.
well, those
We're
mother,
no better at that then. If you
well,
wanna bring that up, I can point out early 2000s.
Shouldn't that be a
and
war
I
crime?
say that those people need to be held accountable.
I also want the higher ups held accountable for letting it happen underneath them.
I agree.
But the
I
higher ups got off scot-free, and the
Okay,
low downs got
and
thrown
don't
in
they
jail.
always? Don't they always? Nobody's ever fucking. Oh, sorry. Nobody's ever held accountable for any of this crap ever. Nobody, and that's what's
Yep,
frustrating.
JJ, waterboarding.
Yeah.
Yep,
That,
remember the
oh
pictures of
yeah.
all the piled up guys
Uh-huh.
nude
Yep.
being peed on, beaten, hit in a
Mhm.
giant pile on the ground? I
Mhm.
remember those pictures. Those were American troops who did that. And don't
Yeah.
get me started on what American troops did in Vietnam.
I know.
There is a lot when it comes to war that is absolutely unacceptable. I have had veterans
Horrific.
pour their
I
hearts
know
out to me.
it's horrific. Like I said,
War is horrible.
I
But
know.
if you look at those pictures, what happened to Al Qaeda, there were women standing there joining in. So
Well,
I don't wanna hear that women aren't capable of being vicious and mean. There are many of them. Look at my mother.
maybe.
There are it's just we're too kind well, I couldn't go and I would be the troop who got in trouble and sent in for all kinds of court-martial issues because I wouldn't stand up for that shit. I wouldn't tolerate it. If I
Oh, me.
saw mistreatment,
Yeah.
I would have reported it, and I would have been kicked out of the military. And
So
so
would
it's a
I.
blessing in disguise that I wasn't allowed to join, that
Right.
I wasn't allowed to enlist.
Right.
Oh, you can do whatever you want. It's America.
But here's the thing, we have the, there are rules to war,
That.
and, every
That's
country has
funny.
violated them. Every
That's fun.
single
I
country has
know.
violated them,
I know.
and America wants to sit on our high horse and say, "Oh, everyone needs to be like us," but then nobody looks at what they've done wrong, and it gets kicked under the rug and forgotten.
Mhm.
I have heard firsthand accounts from drunken soldiers having flashbacks in a voice conversation with me, either face to face or on the phone, absolute horrific things they had done. They just needed to get it off their chest.
Right.
And it's so
Well,
long gone, and I have no proof. I don't even know who the hell to report it to at this point.
exactly.
So there's nothing
Not
I can do
Trump.
but give them an ear to listen.
Hmm.
That's all I can do for them. I
I
mean, when I
my
sit here and
I
hear
had
men and women
yeah.
going through PTSD,
Oh, big
and
time.
they chose this, and they know they chose it, and they willingly would go back.
I don't know about all of them.
The
Uh,
ones I know who are willing to go back.
Stockholm
I
My
had
syndrome.
a
ex-sister-in-law is getting in shape because she's worried because she is of age to be drafted back in. If it came down to it, she would be pulled back up to join into the Army Medical Corps again.
right.
And she ain't thinking twice about it, but she's getting back in shape. And two of her friends that she served with are female and doing the same thing.
That would be another interesting piece to know just how many people would go back or how many that suffered from PTSD would not.
Oh,
Um,
no, I know people with PTSD who are willing
and
to
I'm
get
telling,
drafted
and
back.
and you are you not hearing me? I'm telling
I
you, I
know.
know people that would not go back. My uncle for one, my boss for one, picking up
I
dead
know.
body parts on the field. No way would they go back. It's horrific.
But I know people who are willing to suffer through it, and I know someone who had to pick up body parts too, but
Yeah.
that person's willing to go back.
Well,
So it
yeah, I
is an
guess it's
individual basis.
And I guess if they pass the test and they can pass the psychological exam, then I guess it's have at it. But I'm dug in on women just like
And
I am
you're allowed to, but
people who
I'm just speaking up for the ones who think this would be a bad idea.
know. And again, I people need to think this process through because I'm here well, I'll just shut up about it. Just let it go. Just shut
No, I understand. I've
no.
worked with patients that were in their 70s and 80s. Some were willing to go back, some were not. My dad hated what he went through and did not want me getting enlisted at all, but he still would have signed off the paperwork if I went through with it.
Well, you know,
He did not want that.
somebody that's in their 70s and 80s is probably reliving some type of youth fantasy or something. I mean, I'm talking about a woman that just came out that has been abused, assaulted, beat, broken down to her core. And then you're going to ask her to go back 2 years, 4 years, 5 years later to go fight because she's still of age or whatever. Now, is that what we're supposed to do? She's supposed to go back?
She signed a commitment
Well,
to the military.
yeah, okay. And you let
Once you
them,
enlist, that is
and
a
I'm telling you, you
commitment.
let them motherfuckers that are in Washington that are wearing the suits and all of them, back in the day, the generals went with their troop and they died with their troop. These assholes are sitting back in Washington, D.C., pushing a
I know.
button, making a phone call, going, hey, crazy bee, send your troop over, to here
I
and,
know.
blow up this. Yeah.
I am
Those
not thrilled with the
yeah,
hierarchy of the military.
yeah.
I
It's
don't like
crazy.
the way it's run. I absolutely think it needs reform, but I still hold that if a soldier wants to go back or is willing to go back no matter what they've been through, they should be allowed to. Or if they know and again, the recruiters need to make it known what's going to happen, what they're in for before they
Wait
enlist.
a minute. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. I don't
I
need
don't see I would still, even knowing,
wait, wait
I
a
would
minute.
still sign in.
I know, but wait a second. The recruiter is supposed to explain to the person how
No,
bad
they
it's going
don't
to be.
have recruiters explaining, and I think they should.
Right. But let
Because
me
a lot
just
of
give,
kids get in thinking this is a, "Oh, I just go stand around and
right.
watch things."
But
No,
wait, let me just give you a little analogy. We can't get moderators on YouTube or on the Discord being told what the job entails to do what they need to do, but yet we're going to have a recruiter tell a woman, oh, yeah, by the way, you could be assaulted, beaten, this, that, and the other thing. They're not telling them that. And
I
plus,
get
I want
that,
to know
and
if
I think it should be a warning. It should be a heads up. So
the
we
other
if
the other question I have is in these incidents is there liability to the government for
No,
okay.
none whatsoever. I will tell you right now, my ex-sister-in-law, and a couple other women I know who have been in the military, witnessed things, or been victim to things, nothing was actually done to punish the person that hurt them,
Wow.
and they chose to stay on.
Well,
And they are and again, this is an
there are better
individual. I'm
women than
not gonna speak for everyone, just the ones I know who
there are
are
there are better women
they're
than I.
they're different, they're built different. And I like again, my stepdad and my dad and my grandfather all had a long talk with me about what would entail in the service before I decided I wanted to do it for sure and went to the recruitment center. They all sat me down. I got the list of what could happen and how bad it is. And I still wanted to go.
Well, you're a better woman than I.
And that's not a no, it's not about being better. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
I'm
because
built
I
differently.
wouldn't want to go. I mean,
And
like
and you
right,
don't have to. That's
yeah.
the great thing.
And the thing is that I don't want anybody to go. I don't want to see anybody get have to go to war, especially for other countries. It's one thing to protect our homeland, but to go over and fight other people's wars, that is just
Well,
crazy.
I'll tell you, I knew and I babysat for a couple and the father was sent over after 9/11. He didn't make it home. His twin
Yeah.
daughters.
Mhm.
I was around this before 9/11 happened just I mean literally months after they told me I could not enlist because of my asthma and the
Mm.
fact that it required 3 controller medicines.
Well, we
I
when
could not
we
enlist.
yeah, I told you the story when we moved from the city out into the country, and we signed up at one of the major high schools. We have a huge uh, educational system where I live. It's one of the top in the location, and my oldest was going into junior high, and my youngest was going into middle school. So we get the schedule and everything, and the next thing you know, they had him signed up for the ROTC because Desert Storm and all that was going on.
Yep,
They
I
were trying,
remember.
yeah, they were trying to recruit him in junior high. I
Yes.
went absolutely ballistic because there was no discussion with us. It was just they took this, tall, muscular kid and were like, "Yep, we're going to take him." And I was like over my dead body. They're not. I
No,
would, you know what? Right now, I think all the old people should have to go and fight. Leave the young people at home and,
and now that's
everybody.
something I could support,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you, I do know another woman who was going through ROTC through high school,
Hmm.
and, she was about to get fully enlisted, and she ended up with something wrong with her foot, and they had to do a surgery on her foot, and that automatically disqualified her.
Wow. Well, that's what disqualified
Another
my
person
son
who
was
was
he ended up
wanting it lifelong,
yeah, he
wanted to
wanted
be in the military
yeah,
like her
he wanted
dad.
yeah, he wanted to be in the Air Force to fly planes,
Oh, that
and
would have been fun.
his vision was too bad. They wouldn't take him. So,
Ah.
yep.
And see, that's I knew someone whose vision was too bad for the no, his he was too there was something wrong with why he couldn't go into the army. His hearing, what he couldn't get in the army, and his eyesight prevented him from the Navy, which is
Hmm.
rare because the damn freaking Navy will take someone who has Coke bottle thick glasses
Hmm.
and bifocals, but this kid's eyesight was so bad they wouldn't take him.
Wow, he must have been a bat blind.
Every freaking recruiter wanted me to join, but my mom said I was not to ever take up the family business.
There you
And
go.
my dad was trying to protect me, but he also wasn't gonna stop me if it was something I wanted to truly do. And
Hmm.
I went to the recruiting station to get the paperwork and stuff. And again, my dad knew this was something, he was trying to talk me out of it. I think it was a major sigh of relief for him when they said, "No, I can't serve." Because again, my dad's supportive, but he also knew and knew I knew, and I was still and again, everybody is allowed to do their own thing. And there are a lot of women who have done amazing work, especially in the medical field in the military.
Oh,
And,
I didn't say that they couldn't serve at all. I'm saying I don't want to see them.
well, here's the thing is some of the medics are on the front lines and
I
they are
understand.
dragging the men back and they are doing field treatment.
Yeah, and I don't again, I don't want to see them having to go up to the enemy and being captured. I don't that's what I
Anne has the best one. Let the politicians go fight.
exactly, that's what I say. Let all them yeah, let them do
George Washington, Teddy Roosevelt, how many others actually were on the fucking front lines at
right.
one point?
And now
And
you can't
I
yeah,
like it.
yeah, you can't even get them to go to the location where they're fighting. They're
Mhm.
sitting in their office. They're on
No, they have a
TV.
little hidden base that they meet
Uh-huh.
at.
Yep. Yep. Where they hide.
What do you think Pop Pop
Yeah, my dad's dad actually threatened that if my dad joined during Vietnam, not to come home. And when
Mm,
my dad showed up home, all of his stuff was on the front yard.
That sucks.
wow.
Yes, my grandfather and grandmother did not agree with Vietnam. They were mad as hell when my dad joined willingly. And when my dad got out of the service, his stuff was on the front yard
I guess
and he
one
had
of
to
the
crash with friends.
one of the most and I guess being a young kid, I can remember being at the drive-in and we used to take blankets and lay in the front of the cars while our
Uh
parents
huh.
were in the car. I can't it was the Green Berets with John Wayne and it
Yep.
was a depiction of Vietnam and what
Yeah.
happened. It was so impactful, and then from there, I became, like, obsessed about reading about Vietnam and
Yeah.
what was done and how the torture was, it hmm,
My grandfather got me on the deep dive into World War II.
yeah,
He survived. He was the only survivor in his foxhole after a bombshell exploded. Only survivor. Shrapnel in his legs till the day he died. Was sent from the front lines of Normandy to Italy on body cleanup once he was able to start walking with braces. And oh, yeah, that happened to be the time Mussolini was executed. So, guess who was in the square watching it?
wow.
I have heard
Mom,
the horrific
speaking of
stories.
which, do you think Mussolini really should have been executed?
Yes.
Why? More than Hitler?
Not necessarily more than Hitler, but definitely his people chose to do that to him because of what he did to their country.
Almost as if he wanted to make a new Rome.
Yeah, it was not a military tribunal that ended Mussolini. That was the people of Italy who mobbed him, his mistress, and a bunch of his higher ups, and they strung them up by their ankles. And there are pictures of what they did to their bodies afterwards. I
Oh,
have gone through those pictures with a magnifying glass trying to find my grandfather in them. So, yeah,
all the
war is
more
a
reason I
very
don't wanna
horrific
be
thing.
hung up by my ankles, but we really got off topic there. I
Well,
apologize.
no, we're still technically on topic,
I
talking
know.
about how
Yeah.
horrible this is and what we put our people through,
Mhm.
and the fact that this is why they recruit them right out of high school.
Right.
This is why they recruit even
They're young
before
and
they're out
dumb.
of high
Yep,
school.
young and dumb.
I wouldn't say dumb,
Well,
but I
they
mean,
are. They are.
but there
Yeah,
was also a time when patriotic and pride in your
right.
country led to a lifetime service or more
Yeah,
than just one
and
tour.
that brings up another subject of there are countries that have mandatory uh, enlistment for at least 2 years,
Most
and
are 4 years, actually, from what
well,
I've read.
there's one in particular. We won't go there right now, but it's a two
Yeah.
year uh, commitment, and uh, it it's interesting to listen to the men talk about they believe that it is their civil duty to protect their country and that
Yes.
they look forward to joining. I mean, I have not encountered uh, but a handful that have said they didn't want to go. And careers are stopped. You could be a medical doctor and you're required to go by before a certain age. So I wonder if we had something like that in this country, would that
Actually, we
and
did during Vietnam,
right,
technically. I knew, 3 doctors who were pulled out of universities and sent to the front lines.
yeah. Would that create more patriotism within the country? And do you think that the country would be less divided?
Um, I think it would to a degree, especially if we're not in war at the time it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything from Desert Storm to 9/11. How many people enlisted and weren't ever really in war?
Right.
And then we got, I guess the Republicans got their itch for wanting war again,
Mm-hmm.
and sure as shit, it happened.
Isn't it now the Democrats want war?
It basically is. Um, it, I think we need to get people
I think we just
back to loving our country, and I wouldn't mind a 2 to 4 year enlistment in America.
With
I wouldn't
some
mind. I
type
got
of,
2
yeah,
nephews,
yeah,
one in the Air Force and one in the Army right now.
okay.
yeah.
Since the world leaders are
With
quickly
some
going to
type
each
of
other, might as well just
benefits
get it
that
over with and start a war.
Yeah, I like that. It can be longer if you're in a position like becoming a
right,
doctor at military expense,
right,
like with the doctors I met who were served in Vietnam.
yep,
Yes.
yep.
My dad was at Hickman during Pearl Harbor. Holy shit.
Wow,
That, wow.
that's
There's
wild.
another
Yeah, that's
pivotal
wild.
point of World War II
Mm-hmm.
that again, like I said, my grandfather was at D-Day. He was like one of the, I think it was second or third wave to land. So he had a little bit of a chance to get to a foxhole, but it was still a disaster from the get-go. How is it that my grandfather was the only survivor of like 5 people crammed in a foxhole?
Hmm.
It depends. Where was he? Where was he? Was he above or below?
When you're in a foxhole, you are below.
No, but how many people were in front of him?
I don't know.
Exactly. He could have survived by
It
like.
was too traumatic for him to keep going into that level of detail.
Hear me out on this one. Human shield.
That might have been it, but again, just he was stuck in that foxhole till they could dig him out
Yeah,
of the
so
bodies.
he's probably underneath a bunch of bodies. That's how he survived.
That's
It
crazy.
might have been, but, and again, that's traumatizing. No wonder he was an alcoholic the rest of his life.
Yeah,
No
because they
wonder
were
he had a temper.
right, and they were trying to numb away the pain. One my uncle suffered not only from the PTSD, but he had injuries that were lifelong till the day he died.
Well,
Which
that
you,
was my grandfather
yeah,
too, yeah.
and you're trying
Actually,
to the VA. You're trying to get to the VA, and
yeah, and VA is all backed up
yeah,
all over the place.
exactly, right.
But let me tell you another good story, and this happened in Vietnam. It was, someone I had worked with, his cousin was on the front lines as a trooper. He was in the Army. No, he was Marine Corps, I'm sorry, Marine Corps. And, 6 feet from him, he's getting shot with a submachine gun in the head. Okay, not trying to be going into any details. Motherfucker survived
Hmm.
and wanted to keep fighting, but because of the seizures, they couldn't. And then they're like, "But well, maybe we could put him in recruiting." Well, that didn't work because of how he was scarred up and everything. So he ended up working for the post office.
Oh wow, that's
He
funny.
was shot. Okay, literally, they thought he was dead. Skull cap came off. They had to flight him for 2 hours to get to a ship, then get him to another safe place before they
Mm-hmm.
could even do medical treatment of any level.
Did they get
Dude
Mm-hmm.
him back?
survived. Yes, they were able to get his skull cap back. And I'm not trying to get us kicked off of YouTube, but he survived and he didn't want to leave.
Right.
Stockholm syndrome, am I right?
Now I
That's
don't
not
know.
Stockholm
That
syndrome.
was that JJ
Well,
or
what's the
Art that
difference?
said that about being young, dumb, and full of.
JJ.
Okay, that was JJ.
Yep.
I, where I worked, I had a program that in the summertime we would hire the kids of employees. So you could be, depending on the job, 13 to, 20, 25, 26, or whatever. Actually, it was really cheap slave labor when you come to think about it. But
Yeah.
we had a program. And one of the women, her son signs up to go to Desert Storm. So
Mhm.
the idiots that we are, we send him a care package right? And it had the stupidest random stuff in it, like gummy bears, a puzzle book, all this stupid shit. So he comes back for a visit, and we had cake and everything in the dining room for him, and all the women are like gathered around him. Eric, tell us about what happened over there. And he was on tanks, and he talked about how the sand got in their socks, and you could never, the sand was always in your socks and your underwear, you could never get rid of it. So we're like, well, what did you think of the care package? And he's like, well, to be quite honest, this is what we're looking for. And to see him in 6 months go from a boy to a man that
Yeah.
was serving in the war was just phenomenal. There was a sense of pride in him, but also a sense of, as being a mother, of severe, serious concern for his safety. But in the box that they requested, they were doing things like, we need socks, we need baby wipes, and they gave us a list of what they wanted. And then we
Yeah.
were able to provide for them because the military wasn't giving it, providing the
Yeah.
what, and they wanted like specific candy bars. And I mean, it just was, from what we sent him out into the world with, and what he came
Mhm.
back with, and then what he ultimately left with, was totally different. But we worried to death about him. I mean, because he's out there on tanks, shooting things up, and we're like, oh my God, is the kid going to be safe? He's 18 years old.
A former classmate of mine just before 9/11 was a paratrooper.
Hmm.
I never heard from him after I graduated, but he came back to do a little bit of recruitment speech at the school because of 9/11, and he was on leave, and then he got sent back out. I've never heard anything from what happened to him,
Yeah,
but I had a classmate who was a paratrooper. I mean, he went from a school of troublemakers. He was in one of those alternative education programs because they got kicked out of every other school, and he
Right.
ended up being a paratrooper.
Well,
It
good
cleaned
for.
his life up.
And see, and for some it works, and for others it doesn't. And
Yep. And
like
that actually
I
is one of the things though, people who are, about military age, if you
right.
get in trouble, the courts can tell you, you got your choice, jail or enlist.
Yep. Hmm.
And it does still happen.
Most certainly does. But somehow we got way, way off. Well, it's relevant, I guess, but I
It
still,
is.
I still
And
think that.
even if we don't get to the other stuff, this is still important conversation for people to
Exactly.
hear.
Right.
The pros and cons, the different perspectives.
Right.
That's why we do this.
Right. I still, am just so adamant. Uh, you know, I just wish that one more wouldn't have to occur.
Oh,
Two,
I totally agree. I would hate to have another war.
two.
But given the history of the world, we still need to be prepared for the
Oh,
worst.
I agree, and I don't think we're prepared at all. That's a whole nother conversation.
We're still better prepared than Europe.
Yeah, we are, but what about China?
Again, we
I
need
don't
to
know.
get our recruitment up. We need to get our training. That's
Exactly.
why I agree with Pete Hegseth about getting the standards
Uh
back
huh.
to what they were, not
Yep.
this modified PT so you can get through it because you're
Oh,
refusing to cut out the Twinkies
right.
and do a
Or
few more sit-ups. Quit being a whiny bitch.
would you
Do
consider
it.
them DEI military
That was
hires?
part of the DEI crap,
Yep.
yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And if you know what? If you're a woman who's 4'11", 5 foot, 100 pounds, and you can't do it, too bad. You're cut.
Yep.
Go find something
Exactly.
else to do.
Yep. I agree.
If you can't meet the standards, no. And I agree. If women are going to serve, they better meet the same standards or
Mm-hmm.
at least slightly modified. But I've known women who can keep up with the men and not think twice. And that's again the difference. There is a big difference. They are now bringing in all these people, and there's a lot of people who join the military just to get their trans medicines and surgeries.
Oh, exactly. Well, they stopped that, so
Well,
Trump put.
that's
Yeah.
exactly my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
They
Trump put
only
a stop to
joined
that. Right.
because I can get my hormones, I can get my surgeries on taxpayer dollars.
Right.
Not anymore.
Right.
Get that shit done beforehand or after.
That's
Suck it
correct.
up.
Yep.
There are fights worth having, but politicians generally don't know the difference. Bingo.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And this is again where where we all stand. We agree we need a military force.
Right.
We agree they need to be the best. And we agree that people are needed in all areas.
Correct.
But
We
again,
have a
everyone's got
little
to make their
bit of a,
decision. If they cannot psychologically handle it, you're cut.
yeah, and that's
Plain
I
and
think
simple.
yeah, that's the piece where simulations and stuff I think are appropriate, maybe depending. Well, that I don't know. That's off. That's kind of off. I'll let that go. I don't want
Mhm.
to. I don't want to get into that, but there are ways to make a position seem extremely realistic, if you get my drift.
Yes. The
But
fake positions that seem important, but they're really not. Yeah.
yeah,
We
so
see that all the time in the government.
don't we? But okay, let's move on and see if these people agree with the damn thing or word that we had to say.
Oh, they didn't, but
Uh,
let's hit play because there's still 8 minutes.
okay.
I'm incredibly grateful for the two women who've served our military in uniform and including in the Central Intelligence Agency, contributions on the battlefield, indispensable contributions. Senator, I would like to clarify, when I'm talking about that issue, it's not about the capabilities of men and women, it's about standards. And this committee has talked a lot about standards. Standards that we, unfortunately, over time, have seen eroded in certain duty positions, certain schools, certain places, which affects readiness, which is what I care about the most, readiness
I
on the battlefield.
appreciate that. And
so my
but
comments point
however-
time and time again to standards.
Senator Gillibrand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hegseth. I do want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for your willingness to serve in this capacity.
Thank you, Senator.
I have many concerns about your record, and particularly your public statements, because they are so hurtful to the men and women who are currently serving in the U.S. military, harmful to morale, harmful to good order and discipline. If you are saying that women shouldn't be serving in the military, and I'm going to read you your quotes, because the quotes themselves are terrible. You will have to change how you see women to do this job well, and I don't know if you are capable of that. So I want to press on these issues that my colleague Jean Shaheen brought up, because she said it so well. So first of all, you answered your questionnaire. Do you believe that any American who wants to serve in their country in the military and can meet objective standards set by the military should be allowed to serve without limitation? You've said yes to that question. But then in all of these other circumstances, you've denigrated active duty service members. We have hundreds of women who are currently in the infantry, lethal members of our military serving in the infantry. But you degrade.
Lethal to what standard? The lowered standards lethal or the standard of lethal we had back in World War One?
I do
That's
not know. I do not know.
See, she's talking about they're at lethal, but they've been trained on which standard? The modern one with the modified PT and everything? I don't know. This is where I think Pete Hegseth is right. We need to get our standards back up.
Right. Hopefully he says something about that.
Yep. Let's hit play.
Grade them. You say, we need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat units. So specific to Senator Cotton's question, because Senator Cotton was giving you layups to differentiate between different types of combat. And specifically, as Secretary, would you take any action to reinstitute the combat arms exclusion for female service members, knowing full well you have hundreds of women doing that job right now? And the standards, your 2 mile run, Tom, is about the Army Combat Fitness Test. It is not the requirements to have an MOS 11 Bravo, which is the infantry. These are the requirements today for people serving in the industry, men and women. They are gender neutral, and they are very difficult to meet. They have not been reduced in any way. And our combat units, our infantry is lethal.
Add.
So please explain specifically, because you will be in charge of 3 million personnel. It is a big job. And when you make these public statements, and I get you were not Secretary of Defense then, I get you were on TV, I get you were helping veterans, I get it was a different job. But most recently, you said this in November of 2024, knowing full well you might have been named as Secretary of Defense. So please explain these types of statements, because they're brutal and they're mean and they disrespect men and women who are willing to die for this country.
I'm so shook.
Well, Senator, I appreciate your.
What was that, Dee?
I said, "Oh, I'm scared. They're just so mean questions." Oh,
She's
sorry.
stupid, and she won't shut up long enough for him to talk.
Yep. Oh,
Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah,
What was that?
I'm so scared.
I'm not scared of an angry tone, because her words mean jack shit.
I know.
All right, here we go.
Comments, and I would point out I have never disparaged women serving in the military. I respect every single female service member that has put on the uniform, past and present. My critiques, Senator, recently and in the past, and from personal experience, have been instances where I've seen standards lowered, and you mentioned 11 Alpha, 11 Bravo, MOS, places in units, and the book that has been referenced multiple times here, The War on Warriors. I spent months talking to active duty service members, men and women, low ranks, high ranks, combat arms and not combat arms. And what each and every one of them told me, and which personal instances have shown me, is that in ways direct, indirect, overt, and subtle, standards have been changed inside infantry training units, ranger school, infantry battalions, to ensure that
give
commanders
me one example. Please give me an example. I get you're making these generalized
meet
statements.
Quotas to have a certain number of female infantry officers or infantry enlisted, and that disparages those women.
Commanders do not have to meet quotas for the infantry. Commanders do not have to have a quota for women in the infantry. That does not exist.
When did she
It does
serve?
not exist.
I can't remember.
And your statements are creating.
I'm trying to remember when she served, if she was even one who did serve.
I don't think so.
I might have to do some digging into her,
Yeah.
because she sounds like someone who's never served in the military.
Powder puff.
Gillibrand used to look decent when she first started in Congress. That's something I pointed out about Nancy Pelosi. When she was young, oh my God, she was so pretty. What the hell happened to her? Anyways, let's get through these last 3 minutes.
The impression that these exist, because they do not. There are not quotas. We want the most lethal force. But I'm telling you, having been here for 15 years, listening to testimony about men and women in combat and the type of operations that were successful in Afghanistan and in Iraq, women were essential for many of those units. When Ranger units went in to find where the terrorists hiding in Afghanistan or in Iraq, if they had a woman in the unit, they could go in, talk to the women in a village, say, where are the terrorists hiding? Where are the weapons hiding? And get crucial information to make sure that we can win that battle.
And I do want to point out that because of the culture in the Middle East, men cannot talk to women, women cannot talk to men unless they're related to them. So she has a point there. That is the only thing I'm giving her, is because of the culture there, female soldiers would be able to get information from women that men would not. But that's just one aspect of so many things. I just want to point out she does have a good point there. And agree with me or not, that's fine. I don't even like this woman. She is a nagging hag that really just needs to get removed from Congress. But this is one point where she has it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
Okay.
So you cannot denigrate women in general, and your statements do that. We don't want women in the military, especially in combat. What a terrible statement. So please.
Combat is not the same as intel. If you send a woman into a village to start talking to the women, that is intel, not combat. Just going to point that out. It seems like she thinks she knows a lot because of overheard conversation, but it's not a lived experience, which is completely different. So, yeah. Okay. This woman's stupid, by the way. I just really want to point that out.
Do not deny that you've made those statements. You have. We take the responsibility of standards very seriously, and we will work with you. I'm equally distressed. You would not meet with me before this hearing. We could have covered all of this before you came here, so I could get to the 15 other questions that I want to get to. So women you have denigrated. You have also denigrated members of the LGBTQ community. Did you know that when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was in place, we lost so many crucial personnel, over 1,000 in mission-critical areas. We lost 10% of all our foreign language speakers because of a political policy. You said in your statement, you don't want politics in the DOD. Everything you've said in these public statements is politics. I don't want women. I don't want moms. What's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you
Oh, she's
therefore are
so
no longer
fucking
able to be
stupid.
lethal.
Okay.
We gotta
I have
stop.
I have
Do
known
we really
moms.
have to listen to the rest?
Well, here's the thing. I've known women who were in the military, had a baby, the dad stayed home and raised the kid while the mom was overseas. It does happen. It is their choice. They should not be
Mhm.
forced to be removed. Now,
Oh,
I
no,
agree
but
with removing them once they find out they're pregnant.
don't even get me started then of okay, so you're have a newborn baby and you're gonna leave the baby at home and you're gonna go
No,
potentially die.
here's the thing.
Okay.
You don't
Oh,
no, you don't understand the military regulations for this. When you are pregnant, the minute you find out you are pregnant, you are
yeah,
pulled from
I know
active
that.
duty.
I'm talking about after she's had baby and she
You
goes
have
back.
3 no, they will not let you back for at least 3 months.
Yeah, because you're off on maternity leave.
And after that, it's
Yeah.
not a newborn baby. The baby is
Oh,
at that
come
point.
on. Why the hell
I
even have the damn kid in the first place if you're not going to be home to raise the baby? Why? Why?
Would it be
Don't
any
even go
different
there.
than the
Don't
mother
go
staying
there.
home and raising the kid while the dad is overseas?
Yeah, hey, whatever. Don't go. Let's not fight that fight right now. We'll fight that fight
It's
another
not a
day.
fight, it's a conversation.
I know
I'm
it is
just
a conversation, but right now I'm getting riled up, girl. I
I
might be
know you
wake.
are.
I might be waking up because I'm getting pissed at this bitch.
I know, but
Ooh, I
again,
mean,
sh
how you know what? I really don't know how witnesses can sit at those tables with these idiots in front of them. I told you the other day when MTG went off on NPR and PBS, I would have been like, you know what? When you guys get your shit together, I'll be back. Same with this one. Like, who does she think she's talking to? Really?
she's
Y-
talking about the women's freedom of choice
And there's a
to
way
serve
there
or
is
not.
a way to talk, and this is totally unprofessional.
This is yeah, the way she's talking is
Uh-huh.
absolutely
Yeah.
unprofessional. I
I would
100%
be like,
agree.
bye, bitch. I mean, and I'd be gone. I
But I
mean,
will say this is a step up between the fist fights that used to happen in Congress and the actual duels that happened
true.
on the Capitol lawn.
I
So,
yeah,
we're getting there.
you know
It's
what?
just not
Could we
perfect.
still do that? Do you think like
I
challenge
want a
to
boxing
duel?
match between the, politicians who are
Yeah.
opposing and
Uh-huh.
for a law. Put
Yeah.
in a wrestling match or a boxing match, something like that, and whoever wins the match, the law goes through.
There you go. Who
I
yeah.
think that's a
Who,
great idea.
who would we put up against MTG up against Jasmine Crockett and
Well, they've already talked about that. I have a video somewhere. I have a video somewhere where she was talking about that, and someone's like, "Is that a threat against Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever?" It's like, no, that ain't a threat, but I'd sure love to see it.
yeah, that's
Maybe
fun.
throw a Jello pool in there or some
There
mud.
you go. There you go. Jerry
We're
Springer
gonna go
type,
back to
right?
the '90s when that was a popular
Yep.
thing.
With Jerry Springer, remember?
Hey, that's how they can raise funding too.
Uh-huh.
Pay per
Yep.
view.
Yep.
Congress wants
Dave.
funding. Hey, pay per views.
All right. I'll try to remain calm. All
I
right.
know, and here's
I'm
the thing,
cool
she's
now.
talking out her ass, and Art just said it. She has obviously has no military service.
Right.
Her comments
But
are not a surprise.
it still gets me riled up. I can't help it. I mean, I wasn't a stay-at-home mom because I went back to work, but still, I can't see like, okay, I just had a baby 3 months ago, but I'm gonna go fight in the war. Bye bye. I might
Women
not
do
make it
it.
home.
There are women who choose to do it.
I know. I know. Uh-oh, what am
But
I?
JJ says Dee's flower is blooming wild. Art
Okay,
says yes.
I will
Let's go
calm
back to
down.
dueling.
I'll calm down. All right. Who's woosah?
And again, don't let her get under your skin. She don't know
Yeah.
jack shit about what
I
she's talking about.
will
Just gonna
do
point that out.
woosah. And we'll do a let us pray. And now we're calm. It's okay. It's
What's that serenity prayer?
uh-huh. Yep.
Anyone who is ever Catholic or Lutheran should know it. Serenity
Uh-huh.
prayer. My grandmother gave me a necklace with it when I was
Yeah,
young, and it helped me through a lot. Even though I was never raised Catholic, I found a few things from the Catholic religion that are comforting.
exactly. I hear you. All
A
right,
minute,
try
few
let's try
seconds
to finish
left.
it. Woosah.
Well, I mean, you're basically saying women after they have children can't ever serve in the military in a combat role. It's a silly thing to say. It's a silly thing to say beneath the position that you are aspiring to. To denigrate LGBTQ service members is a mistake. If you
LGB is acceptable. The TQIA,
Well,
etc., whatever the other symbol crap things are,
huh?
no.
Why? You're being racist
They
and
require medication to keep their hormones balanced. They require there's a lot more to it. There's a lot to it medically as to why they shouldn't be able to. And obviously, if they can't figure out what gender they are, do we really? And again, if they're claiming gender dysphoria causes all these self-deleting issues, do we really want them in the military?
why not?
Last thing we need is them
Hey,
collapsing and
you
taking
know what?
themselves out when we
Wouldn't they
need them
be
out on the
perfect?
field.
Wouldn't they be perfect to put up on the front line?
No, because they would take themselves out or curl up in a ball and start crying the second shit hits the fan.
There you go.
I'm just pointing out that the mental illness does some
Yep.
mental illnesses do disqualify you from service.
Right.
And that should be one of them, in my opinion. If you're gay, bi, lesbian, who gives a shit? You're still capable of fighting. You're still mentally stable.
Are you sure
Being
about
gay is
that?
not a mental illness.
There are some people that would argue otherwise.
Yeah, but that's again, oh, then you look at the religious people.
Right?
I mean, we could look at this from so many perspectives. The way I see it, I don't care who you are attracted to. All I care about is can you do your job? But we have these trans people in there who are there literally just to get the treatment.
Right.
And they're doing makeup tutorials
Mm-hmm.
from the frickin' barracks. No, no, and no.
Oh, so there are some things you're against there, Crazy B. Uh-oh.
It's
I
mental
might,
illness included.
hey,
Would you trust a schizophrenic?
I might learn how to put my eyebrow eyeliner or my
Well, you have
lipstick on
fun watching that.
better.
I wouldn't trust a schizophrenic out there who all of a sudden starts hallucinating and starts shooting at their own troops.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some lines.
Okay, so with that being said, I'm just suggesting that women in combat follow that same format that you went for.
Oh, Art called it. You can't be colorblind and serve, but you can be pregnant or trans. Really?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good point.
He does.
Uncommon censored showed Congress how now has a hockey game.
What?
Oh,
Real?
congressional hockey.
For real? Is that a for real thing? I mean, we
I
know
missed
about the
it last
baseball.
night.
Oh
I
wow.
bet I missed it because of the storms that were rolling through.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Uh-huh.
They could
Who are
take
they
out
gonna
fellow
have on the
soldiers.
team?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mentally unstable people should not be on the front lines at all. And if
Agree.
they require medications to keep them mentally stable, they can't go because and again, this is why they wouldn't let me serve. They can't guarantee they can get me my asthma medicine in a hot zone if
Oh,
I'm
I
happen to
thought
be stationed there,
I'm
so they
glad you
can't let me because of the possibility I could die from an asthma attack and no longer be useful.
well, I'm glad you clarified that because I thought maybe it was the mental illness that was precluding you from going. It's the asthma that precludes.
Actually, it's not so much the asthma
I'm
itself, it's the
teasing
ability to
you.
get me my
Stop.
medicine.
I know.
It's the
Stop.
ability
I
to get
got
me
it.
my medicines at
I
every
got it,
given
girl.
time.
You're way past the 8 ball. You're done. You're on the wall right now. You're not getting it.
No,
It's
I don't have a mental illness like that. That would
I know you
preclude me.
don't. I'm teasing you. It's
Oh,
okay. It's
no,
okay.
sometimes it's hard for me to hear the tone. You got to remember
I
the way
know
the
that's why
autism
I keep
works.
repeating myself. I'm saying so it was the mental illness didn't preclude you from going. It was the asthma. Meant as
Yes.
a joke, crazy bee. We're all good in the hood. You're on the wall. What more what's our time? Are we hitting the
Oh,
wall?
we still got 30 minutes.
That's it. We're getting close. We're getting close to the wall, people.
Uh, but
It's all good. I'm just
you're in
teasing.
a room full of testosterone and you're the only gay guy. That might be an issue, but we're more
Oh,
tolerant than we were. Exactly. Because again, you start hitting on a guy who absolutely does not want anything to do with that. You're more likely to get beat down.
right. Than anything. Right.
And again, testosterone's pumping because what are they doing? They're working out constantly. They're
Hmm.
being pushed mentally, physically to the limits. I mean, have you seen what they do with the tear gas chamber?
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what.
My
I did,
ex-sister-in-law did better than some of the men coming out of that.
wait. I'll be quite honest with you. As I was a star athlete, star swimmer, state
Uh-huh.
champion, all that bullshit, and I wanted to go to the Navy in the worst way. Well, I watched a program on PBS where they had them go into the tear gas chamber, and I was like, "Fuck no, that ain't happening." I
Every
ain't go.
branch has to go through
Yep.
that.
I was like, "There's no way." I was like, "I don't think I could survive that." So I
My
didn't.
ex-sister-in-law did, and she outlasted some of the guys who were
Yep.
she got help to walk out because she couldn't see, but she was able to tolerate it much
Yep.
better than most.
And
And
I
again, everybody's built different. That's why I
different. Yeah.
said, this is a woman with calves that, like, I would not want her to kick me, but I've also seen her throw a transmission when she got pissed.
Right.
So,
Oh,
yeah, there are women who are very capable of keeping up with the men.
we,
Let them have at it.
could I just say we got that message that there are women that are, we got that. We got what you're laying down there, crazy bee.
Mhm.
We got it.
It's just wild that there are actually I mean, I wouldn't even wanna get in a fight with her. I'd
I
lose.
I hear
And
you.
in my 6 years of taekwondo wouldn't do jack shit
I hear you.
because she actually has more muscle mass than me,
Mhm.
even though she's shorter.
Mhm.
So again, that's why I like to bring up, everything should be a choice. I don't like them regulating based on this, that, or the other. Prove you can do it, you get in. Can't do it, somewhere else, or you're cut completely. Plain and simple. I mean, I had a cousin who was on her way for top marksmanship for snipering. They found a heart condition. She got kicked out,
Well, yeah,
but
that
she
was.
was shooting better than all of the men.
Mhm. All right, let's move on.
Oh, I have a gay friend who served back when that was a discharge. Let's just say it was an issue decades ago. Yep. I
Mhm.
remember it. And then they went to the don't ask, don't tell. I'm
Right.
old enough.
Right. Yep. Don't ask.
We yep,
Out.
yep.
And then it went
All right,
to me
let's get through this
too.
last minute.
Yep.
I swear, I
I
promise
don't
I'm
know.
not gonna interrupt.
I don't know if I can or not. I'll try.
We'll
But
try.
okay. My hand is over my mouth. I'm saying another word.
You are a sharpshooter. You're as lethal, regardless of what your gender identity is, regardless of who you love. So please know this to be a true statement. So you say it was a political thing. You say it undermined us, social engineering. I don't know why someone having to publicly say or not publicly say who they love is social engineering. I think having that policy in the first place was highly problematic. And as you said in your statement, do you agree anybody should be able to serve in the military if they meet the standards?
Senator, as the president has stated, I don't disagree with the overturn of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Great, because I don't want you thinking, can't serve if you're a mom, can't serve if you're LGBTQ, and then last, can't serve if you're a leftist. The statements you said about people who have
Whoa.
Okay, that one was a bit too far for me. You can't serve if you're a leftist?
I
Bite me, buddy. That's
want
a bite me, buddy.
I want to hear the answer. You said you weren't
Okay.
gonna interrupt. Let's go.
I know, but if he actually said that, I got a nice ass cheek he can bite.
Oh well. Would that be the
Okay,
left one?
let's
Would
go.
that be the left cheek?
Yeah, the left just to piss him off a little more.
Yeah.
Anyways, here we go. Hold on.
views differently than you, that we're the enemy. Are you saying that 50% of the DOD, if they hold liberal views or leftist views or our Democrats, are not welcome in the military? Are you saying that?
Senator, I volunteered to deploy to Afghanistan under Democrat President Barack Obama. I also volunteered to guard the inauguration of Joe Biden, but was denied the opportunity to serve because I was identified as an extremist by my own unit for a Christian tattoo.
He didn't really answer the question, did he?
No, he didn't. I think they might have cut it off too. I'm not sure.
On purpose to try
Yeah.
to look bad.
Right.
But yeah, and again, he is on the lines of what I say. If you're mentally stable, physically capable, let him serve.
All right. That frying pan. Let's move on.
Okay, let me
I'm
see
worn
what's
out.
next.
I'm worn out. I don't know if I could do this tomorrow again. I mean, this is just the first damn video we have. Shit, we haven't even gotten
It
into any.
wasn't our first video. Oh, I accidentally skipped over the
Yeah,
lawmaker
not
in Georgia.
accidentally.
Whoops.
We intentionally skipped over it for tomorrow. So
The
let's go.
Georgia lawmaker who got
Oh,
fired because he
wait.
didn't
I think isn't there a piece that goes with that Pete Hegseth? Isn't there a
Oh,
news
there's
article?
yeah, an article. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yes, there is. Give me 2 seconds. I had it pulled up and I forgot to look at it.
We hope you guys have been highly entertained. This is what happens uh on a no, not on a daily basis. Because
Almost.
yeah. No, that's not true. We agree on for a lot for the most part. There's JJ. He's got your answer, Crazy B.
Leftists are atheists of the military oath. Yeah, I've heard. But if they're going to serve and they're not going to hesitate to jump in front of a bullet or anything like that to save the betterment of America, then I say, all for it. I don't let religion really get involved in my stuff. I'm kind of neutral. I guess I'm what you would call agnostic. I believe there's a God, but I don't necessarily hold to all the nitpicks of the religions out there. I personally believe we're all worshiping the same God under different names and images. And I have a whole long story as to why that's the case. And we'll cover that when we do a religion episode. People have been bugging me about
That'll be
my
yeah.
personal experience. I had a come to God experience when I
Hmm.
was 13, like face to face came to God type of thing. So we'll talk about that later.
All right, so we have a article from the military review, and that is that Hegseth orders a review of the physical standards for military combat roles. You want to scroll up there, dear? Thank
Yep.
you. Defense
Oh,
Secretary Pete Hegseth on Sunday ordered a 60-day review of military combat arms standards to ensure that exceptions are not being made for female troops to assume the physically demanding roles. The review follows past concerns from Hegseth that military readiness has diminished since 2016 when combat roles were first opened to women. Roughly 4,800 women serve in Army infantry, armor, and artillery jobs, according to data provided by the DoD late last year. Would you scroll up, please?
I was just
Thank
keeping
you.
an eye on the chat too.
Thank you, ma'am. Although military leaders have testified that standards have not been lowered for entry into those combat posts, conservative groups have insisted that women are being subjected to lower physical fitness requirements than their male counterparts, and they demanded changes in the military's approach. DoD officials did not say whether the findings due in May could result in some of those female service members being asked to leave their current roles or being forced out. So we should hear something, I guess, well, next month, I would assume. Uh,
Uh-huh.
in a social media statement, Hegseth said the move was needed to ensure the highest and equal standards for all troops. For far too long, we allowed standards to slip, with different standards for men and women in combat arms. That's not acceptable, he said. The memo ordering the review, released by DoD officials on Monday, calls for a redefinition of combat arms occupations and non combat roles. It specifically lists 3 military specialties which required heightened entry level and sustained physical fitness. For ground combat operations, standard must include the ability to carry heavy loads, endure prolonged physical exertion, and perform effectively in austere, hostile environments.
Okay, one second. I grab my mouse. I keep taking my hand off. So
That's okay. For
I
special operation forces, the standards will incorporate advanced swimming, climbing, parachuting, and the ability to operate in extreme environments, as well as sustained peak physical performance. And for specialized operations, the memo calls for a focus on proficiency in those unique and demanding tasks, such as aquatic rescue, repair, and demolition.
move this up for you.
Thank you. All entry level and sustained physical fitness requirements within combat arms positions must be sex neutral, based solely on the operational demands of the occupation and the readiness needed to confront any adversary, the memo states. It continues, in establishing those standards, the secretaries of the military departments may not establish standards that would result in any existing service member being held to a lower standard. Implementation of the new standards will happen over the next 6 months, according to department officials.
You
Under
sound like you're really far from your mic.
no, I just smacked myself in the face with my tablet. Ow. Help, I need first aid.
Quit beating yourself up. It's
I
not
know.
that bad. You're
I
reading
know.
good. You just needed to bring the mic a little closer.
Okay. Here,
Continue
I'll
beating
talk
yourself up.
louder. Under the direction of Hegseth, military offices have already begun removing some photos, stories, and web pages detailing historic accounts of women's contributions to the military. Department leaders have labeled the works as running afoul of new regulations designed to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. I think that's code for DEI.
That
Women
it
make up
is.
about 18% of the current active duty force, according to department statistics. Female troops must meet different fitness standards for general occupations in the ranks than male service members, but they must pass gender neutral standards for combat posts. In a podcast appearance last November, Hegseth was critical of women in serving in any combat occupations, exerting that everything about men and women serving together makes the situation more complicated, and complication in combat means casualties are worse. Ding, 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 ding. I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles, Hegseth said. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal. It has made fighting more complicated. Military leaders at the time pushed back against those statements. Oh, this guy. Then Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said female combat troops add significant value to the finest and most lethal fighting force on earth. Well, Austin, well, I don't know what to say about him, but oh well. I
Yeah.
think go ahead. You want to do some reading there, Crazy B?
Oh, that was it. You got to
That's
the end
it?
of it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I thought
Yay! Do you want a
okay.
sticker?
Do you
Oh
want to
yeah.
smack my son?
No,
Because
but I
you're
want
you're
one.
great.
Tell him I want one.
She wants a sticker.
I want a purple star.
She wants a purple star.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Placed right in the middle of my forehead,
He
just like
just
my
drew a star in the air.
No, middle
Thank
finger.
you. Tell him I said thank you. I'm
Oh,
wearing
it
it
was a middle
proudly.
finger. He drew out a middle finger, not a star. Oops.
Okay. Oops. Sorry
It's
about
a
that.
purple middle finger.
It's a purple middle finger, though,
Okay.
according to my son.
That works.
Oh, shit. My hands doing things again. Um, yeah, my son. Gotta love him.
All right. So I think we should just end it here for today and pick it up tomorrow. What do you think?
I think we can definitely do that. We still have plenty to cover tomorrow. I'm about to move things around on the list
Okay.
so that way it's ready to go for tomorrow.
Sounds good. We're 1 hour and 45 minutes in, and it's the end of the segment. And Crazy B, why don't you throw up that very first page that you showed the audience that some may not have seen? My
Got
baby
it.
or what?
Oh, hold on. Got it.
Okay, so as I stated earlier, if you missed it, Crazy B and I are not monetized. We are not asking for any ad revenue or money from Rumble due to their high requirements that we would probably not
We would
meet.
have to use Rumble Studio to make any
Yes,
ad revenue, and
correct.
their studio sucks, as you
Right.
guys know. I'm sure
And
you remember.
yeah, and YouTube is just totally outrageous. Rumble takes half of any donations that are made. YouTube takes 30%. Therefore, we're asking that anybody that could support Wrecked Sisters, we rely solely on donations from our supporters via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. Right now, the podcast that we've been doing, we are down $400 in order to purchase the studio and some other backup materials that we have. Um, so again, even if you gave us $1, the dollar was more than the dollar that Rumble was going to give us because we made they wanted 1,000 views for $1, and they were going to take 50 cents of it. It just did not make any sense to us whatsoever. We will have no ads. We will have no sponsors at this time, and we will have no products that we will try to push on you. So Crazy Bee's not crazy about asking for money, so I said I would do it. So,
I
uh,
feel if people wanna donate, they will. If they
right,
feel we deserve it, they will, but,
right.
that's me.
That too, and I'm not being shy on this one. You'll hear me. I won't do it every day, but a couple times a week I might throw it up there for those that might.
Or at least at the beginning and end of each episode. I wouldn't even mind that.
Yeah,
I don't complain.
that might be a little bit much. They'll be going, "Oh, D, you're always freaking asking for money." So I don't, I don't want them coming at me like that. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that plays out. But again, any support anybody could provide, we would be greatly appreciated. The other thing, as I mentioned, we are we're crushing it on Rumble, and I have no clue as to how we're doing it because it's pretty wild the numbers that we're getting. Uh,
Because we produce good stuff and people really like it.
right. So we are very pleased at the numbers we have, but it's important, and we recognize that not everybody wants to hit a like or do a follow. But if you can at all, that helps boost us in the algorithm, believe it or not. Both Crazy B and I have worked behind the scenes as moderators and administrators on different platforms. And so we are quite familiar what goes on behind the scenes, and uh, it is important. Right now, all of our content is buried. You go to try to look for us in YouTube, and you might as well just forget about it. In fact, it was
Mhm.
so bad, I had to call Crazy B the other day and say, please send me the link because I can't find us. So that's how deep down in the algorithm we are. And
Yep.
the only way we get moved up is if we have subscribers and we have the likes. So
And the
anyone
sharing and
in the
stuff
share,
like
yeah,
that
and
very much
commenting,
helps.
yeah, you can comment and say you two are idiots, and we'll give you a like. I don't care.
Well,
On
especially if I know you and I know you're joking.
Yeah, I don't care if they're serious. That's fine. They can say what they
They're
want.
entitled to their opinions. That is so
Exactly.
true.
And they also have a choice to go elsewhere too. So we're just
Yep.
doing what we think is right. On Rumble, it's, do a follow and a like. And I will tell you that when I am out on Rumble, I'm shocked at the people that are listening to different podcasts, but that do not hit the like button. And I'm not sure why. Um,
That's the first thing I do if it's someone
yeah,
I visit
so do I.
routinely.
So do I. And I give
But
them,
if I'm new to it, I'll listen through, but then I hit the like when I'm done.
yeah, and may
Mhm.
and possibly give them a follow. So
Yep.
we would appreciate that. And then again, the interaction we've had with the chat, we're very happy with that. Crazy Bee, did you share the Discord link by any chance?
I'm not sure.
Do you have
Um,
a chance? Because I'm laying here on a pillow right now and
okay.
moving.
Yep. Give me 2 seconds and I will pull this up.
We do have a Discord that we just started, and we're not quite sure yet what we're going to do. But typically, Discord is for further conversation, for people to interact with one another and get to know one another. And we could produce other content on there that we might not be able to post on either of the platforms. So if anybody has any questions about anything that we're doing, you could reach us via Discord. You could leave suggestions, comments, whatever, to either Crazy Bee or myself.
I
And
forgot to switch counts on a Rumble. No, I'm on the right one for Rumble. I'm
okay,
sorry. It
you're
showed me as Crazy Bee on Rumble, and I'm like, wait. Oh yeah, that's right. It shows Crazy Bee on Rumble. That's all it is.
there. You go. So again, anything you could do, we'd appreciate it. And we're
Yes.
just going to keep going and see how things go. And as I said earlier, none of this is rehearsed. None of this is pre-planned. We don't say, D, you're going to do this, Crazy B, you're going to do that. What you see is what you get, and this is all us just going back and forth. So
And some of these videos we haven't even really watched in advance, or
exactly,
like D might
yeah,
have watched it, or I might have watched
right,
it. I might have watched part of it.
huh,
Y'all are getting the real deal here.
right,
No faking, no scripts, nothing like that. And again, this isn't meant to be reaction videos. This is
right,
meant to break down what the hell these idiots are saying and point out where they're wrong.
right. And we're trying to do once our content we what we had planned for this week, we just weren't ready. So next week you'll see a little bit of change in the format of what we have planned, and we're kind of hoping to follow that going forward. But our goal is to present both right, left, and center so that you can make informed decisions. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right or in the middle. We just want to get information that you may not have seen or heard, or have discussion, either in the chat or between us, that just sparks something in you that says, I never thought about it that way before. Maybe that's something that I could consider, or I could reconsider my position on. Or like me, there are certain things you dig your heel in and say, nope, not moving. So
Art, we know you're not a bot.
are we sure about that?
Absolutely.
Okay, as long as you have vetted them, that's okay then.
Oh yeah, plenty of conversations over the
Okay.
last couple of weeks.
All right, just checking, just teasing you, Art. Nothing serious. Crazy B, you have anything to add?
No, that's pretty much it. We've busting our asses on all kinds of stuff, trying to get everything in order, everything in place, and it's just like, holy Toledo, we have a ton to do,
Right.
and so much we've been working on.
Hmm.
And yeah, just even me editing up these videos
It
takes
yeah, it takes a lot of
hours in a
time.
day.
Yeah, it Takes a lot of time
I'm
to.
just a disembodied type generator. Okay. If that makes you feel better, we'll let you identify as that.
Okay, we'll go with that. But all right, I'm done. I'm out then. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I just might lay here like comatose. Doesn't that sound like a good idea till Eric gets home?
Yeah,
Hmm.
does.
All,
So,
all right, well, I'm done. I'm out. Everybody have a good evening. We will see you tomorrow with the rest of the stuff that we had planned today to talk
yeah,
about. So that's we'll see if we could get past one or two things.
all righty.
All right. Talk to you later, Crazy Bee.
Talk to you later. So with that, I thank you all for showing up, being here, and as usual, stay safe, stay sane, stay sober. I truly appreciate those who showed up and those who are going to be watching later on. I will catch y'all on the next one.